This is The Party with Serene and Pearl. Get it right, Poddy.
Coming to you from Studio B, it's the Trim Healthy Podcast. I'm Danny Valdez, and with us, as always, are the queens of health wisdom and often chaos, Serene and Pearl. How the heck are you, ladies?
I am dandy.
And I am just fresh. It seems like whenever we're back together, sharing greater health to every home.
Sorry.
I forgot all about greater health to every home.
We're all back from a trip. You see, what happens is we take like a little time off and then we get back together and we crush out some parties. So I'm back from Japan, seeing my daughter Meadow.
So, yeah, why were you there?
Seeing my daughter. Meadow's living there with her kids and her husband. And so we were visiting them.
out.
But I've got more to say about that in the meet.
Wait. Do they live in Kyoto?
No, they don't. They live in Yokohama.
But you went to Kyoto
Went to
it's
Kyoto.
famous cherry blossom season.
During cherry blossom season, it was amazing. I've got a lot more to say about Japan in the meet. But it was incredible.
Yeah, because this is
Love
the
Japan.
banter,
This
right?
is the banter.
Hey, it's time for the banter, the part you hate, but we love.
And here's what I wanted to say for the banter. I wrote it down.
You break the fourth wall so hard, so often. Like you don't talk about the segment we're in.
Oh, okay.
We're just in the segment.
Oh, okay. We're in the segment. But I wrote down on my phone, Danny, on my notes, banter.
Okay.
And then I wrote this.
That's so
I
silly.
wish there would be adult uniforms.
Why?
There are adult uniforms.
Not mandatory for life. I
No.
want to.
No, to wear every day?
Just let me speak. It is
That is
my
cultic.
want.
You're already
Not
shut
for
down.
everybody else, but for me, I wish everyone could have their own uniforms, and this would be my house uniform. Because some days I wake up, right, and I've got these really comfortable home pants. They're not leggings. They're kind of athletic, but they're super comfy around the stomach. You can really eat
They
with
look
them.
like the ones you'd paint a house in.
Yeah,
and want to
but
get
they're
paint on.
not bad. I do find that Charlie still gives me butt pats in them. Now, if I wore
Okay.
really baggy, horrific sweatpants, I don't get the butt pats. So they must be okay.
Okay.
I would like to wear those. They're black with a t-shirt and a sweater wrapped around my waist, and every day I wouldn't have to think, oh man, I wore that yesterday. What will my kids and husband think? What will people, if I'm doing around the home, what will other people think? No, that would be my everyday, and it would be so freeing. I wouldn't have to think. I could have 10 pairs of them. Then I would like for business work. I always have to think, what new shirt am I going to wear for the potty?
Oh, I never think about that.
It's horrific.
I think I've worn this shirt and I have one of each color every time I've gone on the party.
No, sometimes you're in
It's black
different
or
shirt.
white
No,
or
you
this
got
color.
purple shirts going in the different
I have
sleeves.
two potty options. One is a black tee and then this.
Really?
I have seen you in so
Yeah,
many.
Well,
come on.
Like
Okay,
the ripped
lately.
man beater shirt and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
back in the day, I was like trying to do something, but
Also, now you've streamlined it. But all I'm saying is I'd like to have a business outfit. I could have just the black business pants or whatever color and then shirt. No one would expect me to wear anything different.
I'm not coming to your cult.
No,
I
you
think
don't
it's
have to be in my cult. I'm just
very
saying what I want.
uncreative.
Now, when we go out to a restaurant, my husband and I go on dates, that's when I want to be able to wear whatever I tell myself I want to be able to wear. I want to express then. But for everything else, I don't want to think. Is anybody with me?
yeah, I'm with you.
You are?
Yeah, I
oh,
could do
look,
it.
hands
I
raised,
don't
JD.
I don't think
JD.
anyway. I don't stress like is my husband or children going to think I've worn the same thing. I just wear the same thing.
Yeah, you do wear the same thing, I guess. Well, that's why you're not coming to my cult. You're already in my cult.
No, I stress at the disorder level.
Yeah, it's
So-
too much.
It's too much. So this to me would come as a refreshing. Like I'll take the communism to avoid the anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm about to go there, but
I'm about to go to Florida on a vacay, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a weird cult because I have one dress in 6 different colors, and that's what I'm taking down there.
Which dress is it?
It's that one I brought off of Amazon. You said, that's a nice dress, Serena. I said, do you think so? Great. I'll buy one in every color.
Hold on, not the one that has one shoulder.
No.
that's-
It has some little lacy stuff on the
Oh,
shoulder.
yeah, that one. I love that on you. 6 different colors.
6
See,
different-
that's
that's all I'm
brilliant.
wearing. Yeah.
That's brilliant. I want to hear from you people out there in Trim Healthy Land. Are you with me, though? Do you want to come to my cult? Because it would be a good cult, but I can't go there because I have pressure put on by myself. It's probably not by my husband, but I always think he's going to get bored of seeing me in that.
Oh, I never think that. Yeah.
So somebody give me a therapist to get me out of that. Anyway.
And once you gather your people, then you can decide to cull it if you want, to cull your cult.
I can.
All the teens wear pajamas out in public now.
I know. But
That's
they've
the
probably
thing.
got different styles of them. I only want one style.
No, they wear like plaid pants
What do they?
and a thrift store T-shirt.
The young people these
That's-
days. The big box store T-shirt. They're in fashion, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
Meat.
all about me today.
Ba-dum-bum.
I'm bringing the meat.
The meat! When we really get down to business. But don't hate us for the rabbit trails. There's a literal announcer that comes on and says...
No, you've already announced it, Dan, in your special voice. They've already heard that, and
See,
I
we're
just
taking
overkilled.
stuff from Dan, right? It's like us taking his intro because he's like, and now here's the meat. And we're like, Serena and I are like, the meat.
And the longer this podcast has gone on, the more you look at the camera. And that's my thing.
But why is your, we're back.
That's my thing.
We're in the meat, but I want to go back to the banter. Why is your hair straight today? I've never seen straight hair on Dan.
No, I accidentally used my daughter's straightener.
Yeah, how does one accidentally do that?
Did you really put a straightener on it?
Yeah, it was on. It was there. Oh, did I leave it plugged in?
You better call the
The
wife.
thought of a woman several times a day.
Yeah, probably, I guess. Yeah, I mean, we have insurance, so. But, yeah, it was like, oh, what is, like, people do this. And I was just doing it, and then I just kept on. And then I put a helmet on and drove my motorcycle here. And I don't know what we have now.
I
Is
don't
it
know.
okay?
It's quite cool.
I like it.
I do love your usual spring coils,
But you know,
but
you've
this
put
looks good.
banter in the meat. Get to
I know.
it.
Sorry, everybody. Okay, my meat today is disjointed, but it kind of is fun to me. And I just want to bring some truth bombs that I've been thinking about. I don't know how many
I wonder
I'll
if
get
we've
through.
got the same potty.
No, it's
Because I'm taking the next one, and I haven't told you. Maybe it's the same thing.
no. My first truth bomb is, and they're all titled, because I titled them in the shower this morning. Teeth don't brush themselves. Now, you might be wondering, what's that got to do with the price of fish, Pearl? Well, let me tell you a yarn. Serena and I were at our cafe a few weeks back, signing Trim Healthy Wisdom books. And we had some really good discussions with people. I know we've broached this subject before, but in the shower this morning, it just became so clear to me. And I wished I would have said it to this beautiful Trim Healthy mama that was like, Pearl, I know you and Serena have addressed it, but you know, you guys are replacing hormones. You're not against replacing like GLP-1 meds for people that need them. She's like, could I just pick your brain? Because as a Christian, you know, God created our bodies and we go through menopause or we go through these seasons without these hormones. Shouldn't we just embrace that? And we've had that question before. We addressed it very lengthy terms in the new Trim Healthy Wisdom book, but I kind of got a new insight as I was in the shower this morning.
Do you brush your teeth in the shower?
No, I just brushed
I do.
them.
Do you brush your teeth in the shower?
I want to more.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it occurred to me, Pearl, you just brushed your teeth. Your teeth don't brush themselves. What happens if you don't brush your teeth? Foulness occurs.
Yeah.
You go European.
You weren't born with a toothbrush
No.
taped to your little birthday suit skin.
No.
Like, will you get a doll in a box and they have like a
Yeah.
hairbrush taped to their little, you know?
And if I don't floss my teeth, gross stuff is going to get in there.
You
If I don't
floss, right,
brush my
Dan?
teeth,
Yeah.
Good.
if I don't brush my teeth, film is going to get there. I mean, I'm probably going to get cavities. Things are going to go downhill. Humans have to do stuff. And then this thought occurred to me. The disciples were fishermen, right? And that day, Jesus said to them, you know, go put your net out and catch some fish, right? But it was going to be a miracle. But you see, fish don't catch themselves. They still had to go in their tiny little boat, row out hard. They didn't have motors, people. Row out and then use their burly muscles to throw in those big burly nets into the water. And then the fish were caught. But But they had to jolly well do something. The fish didn't suddenly jump from the ocean onto the beach and then roast themselves up. They had to do something. Our microbiome in our gut doesn't flourish by itself.
No, doesn't.
It actually diminishes. We have to put stuff in there all the time to make it flourish. What do we have to put in? We have to put in fermentable foods like vegetables, so their fiber can go and make good bugs when it ferments, and that's how we get a good microbiome. If we don't do that, well, we start getting gluten sensitivities, we start getting allergies, we can't eat dairy anymore, we're screwed.
If we eat our veggies alone, that's sufficient. We don't have to take supplements.
I mean, I take stuff, but
well, you see, it depends. Like, veggies are great; they're a great foundation. But then you can add on to that foundation with like super good bugs and make it super good.
Kefir, things like that. Okay, so our microbiome left to itself will just go the way of down. I mean, it will completely obliterate.
So the bad bugs will win without our intervention.
Yeah. So I really thought to myself, things don't happen on their own. So a woman comes to this time of life where she faces perimenopause and menopause, and her ovaries start shutting down and her hormones decline. So is it just like our teeth where we stop brushing, or do we get proactive and say, now I'm going to amend my soil? Now, I'm not sitting here saying you must take bioidentical hormones, or hey, if you're really having resistant fat loss, you must take a GLP-1 medication. Just you hearing me wrong. I'm just saying we can do stuff, and if we don't do stuff, things decline, and is decline good? Mm-hmm. I personally don't want rotting, filmy, stinky mouth teeth. Mm-hmm. I want a flourishing microbiome.
Muscles don't move themselves either.
No, they don't.
It's more natural to say, I'm really comfortable on this couch. Yeah. I really feel like a lovely homeostasis, me and this couch, right? It's not natural to go in the gym and be in enough exertion that you're kind of in misery for a bit.
Yeah, and it's the way
you have to play games in your head and everything to get through a move.
God inspired. It sounds terrible, people, but he wants us to do stuff, because if we don't, our muscles are actually God created to atrophy. Mm-hmm. There's some things in our body that will atrophy by divine design unless we get our butts off the tushy off the couch.
But also eyes decline naturally too.
Yeah.
The eyes grow dim. It's part of aging. There is a time to it. Usually around 40, people's eyes are getting a little bit like not as clear as they were. Not everybody. There's outliers to that. But there is a timeline. People think, well, there's an indefinite clock to hormones, and if God, closes up the ovaries, well, then he closes up. Well, there's a timeline to eyesight. There's a timeline to teeth needing crowns. There's a timeline to stuff.
Yeah, so that was first truth bomb.
Why's it got to fall apart?
Well, you see, we're here once. We're just like you say, Danny. There's so much more to this life than what we hear. I mean, we've got eternity, right? So, if we're here in this earth suit, we have a finite time. But I'm going to be proactive during that time. I'm also not going to go with the decay. I'm like, long life is actually considered a blessing in the Bible, and strong long life. But how do you get that? You do stuff for it.
Yes, and also because the world is a little more messed up these days too. You have to be a little more proactive than you once, could have just relaxed into. Diet would have been natural back then because they didn't have all of the chemical weird choices as much. Maybe the earth and the soil and the air and everything was just gave more to us, right? Yeah. So now we have to kind of be a little more proactive.
Well, I have a truth bomb too.
Okay, but this is my truth bomb potty, but I'll allow it.
Tonsil stones.
Okay.
They don't come out by themselves.
So true, Danny.
Have you had to get yours out?
No, but I think I've had one for a good year.
Oh, really? You think?
Yeah.
They're kind of gross.
When I kind of do this with my throat.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
Okay.
Okay.
But you can't just hawk it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm feeling grossed
You need
out
a dentiste to get in there with their angled water sprayer.
Yeah.
And it's like that in life.
Yeah. But it is true.
Poignant. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to get on to the next one so we don't spend too long. I'm going
Pinkies
to
up.
choose one. And this is my next truth bomb. If carbs are so bad, why is Japan so good?
Yes.
Okay.
Just wasn't
I'm
expecting
just
that.
back here from Japan. So let me tell you about it, people. Where do I even begin? I mean, I went to this place called Japan that has had an indigenous population for thousands of years, and they've created their own culture, and it's really amazing. Yeah, there's probably some dark sides, but Japan is, wow, it's my new favorite place, although I'm so proud to live here in the US. But let me tell you about what they're doing health-wise. They embrace carbs. I said to Meadow, my daughter who's living there, this is the land of the carbs, Meadow. And I couldn't understand why the first time Meadow and Kendall went to Japan, they came back. They were trim, they were fine, but they came back trimmer. They came back a little more fit. So I was there in Japan, and obesity is so rare. I didn't see it. I saw it with some foreigners that were traveling there. And you could say, well, it's their genetics. No, it's not, because many Japanese people come here to the US and they get the same problems. They get obesity. They get type 2 diabetes. It's what they're doing over there. It's not all perfect, but there's a lot good. And this is what I found out. They love carbs.
What carbs? Like rice?
And Asian, like Japan,
Yeah.
China, it's part of the Asian genetics,
Yes.
right? You've seen the sumo wrestlers. If
Yeah,
they
no,
want
if
to
they
gain
wanna
the
gain
weight,
weight,
they
they
can gain the weight.
Well, there's the sweet potato, and it's everywhere. And like I went to the grocery store, and they have them already cooked, just a sweet potato wrapped up in foil, and you have that as your snack. I mean, it was just delicious.
Do they have any
fruits.
spices on it or anything?
No,
Or just-
I mean, you can take it home, do whatever you want,
Yeah.
but it's so beautiful and sweet.
Yeah.
There's fruits galore, there's things like that, but there is white rice everywhere. Now, I'm not a proponent of white over brown, but that's what they eat. But you see, here's what they eat with it. Veggies. They have kids' meals over there. Every kids' meal is just a mini adult meal. It has the veggies. It even has fermented veggies. Every restaurant you go to, Serene, you would love it. There's this little corner, and they have all like a huge variety of like 5 to 10 fermented veggies to pick from.
Oh.
And you put them on your plate. So what's that
Did
doing?
you see the natto? Did they have?
Yeah,
the
they
natto?
have. Everyone's eating natto for breakfast. I couldn't bring myself to do it, but they're putting all these fermented, which is sour, veggies with their white rice, which causes such a better glycemic response. So their bodies can handle it so much more. And they're having veggies with it. And they're
And if
having
it was a
protein.
perfect world, if it was brown, it'd be even better for their microbiome and even better for their
Yeah.
health. But you're saying even with the white rice,
Yeah.
they're doing it right.
And it's cooked and cooled, which lowers the
Resistant starch.
lowers the resistance starch. So in all their sushi, that's cooked and then cooled.
It gives you the resistance
Yeah.
starch and lowers the starch.
They use a lot of vinegars, but their fermented foods, I really think, are having a big impact. All the veggies, when you go to the grocery store, it's amazing looking at the carts there. Yes, they have like noodle packets in some grocery aisles, but people are loading their grocery carts with vegetables and fresh meats and fruits.
That's so interesting, and like there's got to be more to it. I don't know. I guess like, what do you attribute that to?
Well, I attribute to
Culture.
the fact that they're proteins. Okay, so they do pork. It's not my favorite meat, but it's cheap for them. They do some beef. They do a lot of fish. But I had the impression that they were maybe thin, yes, but a little bit emaciated, not having enough protein. I was wrong. They're good with their protein, Serene. They're probably not nerdy, but they're good.
Probably more than here.
Yes.
In the US.
Yes, they're very good. They've got great sources of protein. They like their eggs and in the morning. They have it like with rice once again, but always on their plate are these fermented veggies.
Do you think that alone does so much work that
Well, also, here's another big thing, and I noticed this when I went to Italy, although I feel like in Italy, you think of the Italian people and you used to think of very robust and everything like that, but now Italy is very almost skinny when you go there. Remember? Oh,
Yeah,
I was
you came
telling you
back,
about it.
yeah.
Japan, not so. It was very healthy weight. I looked around, and the woman and the men, they just look healthy. You get to see all their features. such a beautiful race. But why? Because I'm just seeing their gorgeous God-created features. I'm just seeing them. They're not, covered with inflammatory fat layers.
And are you going to tell how you called me up and you're like, I've been back in the US for a day and I went to Walmart in Dixon, Tennessee.
Yeah, and it was so sad. I was grieved because it's like, hey, we're a beautiful race too, but you can't see it in some counties, definitely our county here in rural Tennessee, because it's covered with inflammation and type 2 diabetes, and it's covered. You can't see this gorgeous humanity anymore. And it was so sad because I just come from this place where humans are really shining still. They're an epic representation of what God made. So they walk though. It's a different situation. Like they're moving, and that's a big thing too. They're burning off these carbs because they're moving. They're walking to the train station. They have a little train ride. Then they're walking to work, and they're walking everywhere, like Italy.
Yeah.
So they're moving. I don't know, Serene, that there's a lot of strength training going on. I saw some built men. I'm not sure about the woman. I don't think they do a lot of strength training. So therefore, when they start losing muscle mass, and you can see them are at perimenopause, menopause, it's kind of like a different body type. They still don't get obese, but there's some changes that happen, but that's just what I want to say. Let's not blame carbs, because Japan is the land of the carbs.
So sweet potatoes, is rice another big?
Rice is a big one of their carbs. I mean, they do refine noodles too, and I'm not sure how that's working for them. But I do think all these other things that they have in their diet are compensating.
Yeah.
And making these things more, burnable.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not huge portion people, but they're not under eating either. I didn't notice a lot of under eating. I saw some good portions, but they don't have, of course there's not fast food.
Fries.
I mean, you're not having, McDonald's on every corner. I did see it. Is that where all
the teens headed to fast food places over there?
No, the teens were not heading to fast food places as they were in China, Serene.
Yeah.
When we were in China, we saw people that were mostly very healthy weights, except for the younger generation who are blowing up because they're at the fast food restaurants.
I wonder at what level is the government sort of participating in leading health? Like I've seen these YouTube shorts that'll say, 5 reasons China is living in 3025 and we're all still in 2025. And they show all these like cool things that are at like and maybe it's not just China, but like Asia,
Yeah.
They show like unique things that are like mandatory in restaurants. Like it's their federal law. Like restaurants have to do certain things.
Interesting.
So I just wonder how much, like could it be the culture of having fermented vegetables and walking alone that does a lot of work, plus lowered volume on fast food and oils and things like that? Could it be culture alone, or are there some things that are kind of mandated? I've heard rumors that certain dyes are illegal in Canada, or, and in other countries, like same box of cereal from the same Kellogg's or whatever, but one is missing the dyes and the reds and
I think there's a lot of truth that there probably is more of a strict standard. But do you know what I think? It's not just the vegetables and the fiber, and the more active lifestyle. I think, as we're coming to realize now, as science is unveiling that inner ecosystem of the microbiome, how powerful it is for fat burning, for our metabolism. The microbiome is incredible at, keeping our body in a beautiful weight ratio. It's amazing. And so I think that the fermentation and the amount of vegetables that are feeding that microbiome, but I think that they probably have, if you put their microbiome underneath a microscope and to a regular American, I think we would be flabbergasted at the difference.
I think so. and
Get some
they're
Japanese
having it
people in
from
here.
and they're having it from early childhood, where we're feeding Pop-Tarts to our children and goldfish crackers. They're
Yeah.
feeding fermented veggies.
That's interesting,
Going into their
And
ecosystem.
you reckon you saw them eating native for breakfast?
Oh, everywhere. We were at this hotel and there was this buffet for breakfast, and I was sort of grossed out actually at some of the things.
Because you pick it up with your kind of your chopstick and then this big stringy cobweb
I
stuff.
saw them, and they'd mix it
fermented.
with their chopsticks and then slurp it into
Yeah.
their mouth, and
Slurp.
it was so good for them, but I couldn't do it.
What
I'm
is
like,
it?
One of the most healthiest fermented.
What are we talking about?
natto. It's fermented soybeans, right? Or
I don't
something
know,
like
but it's
that.
a fermented
A
something. or other.
fantastic form of K2 as
Yeah.
well. You can get K2 and Gouda cheese, but the highest thing in the
natto.
world is natto. They
So
also
it's
have
fight
miso
cancer
soups.
and-
So many brothy soups, people.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps them fill up. It gets them some protein, and they do it from bone stock.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's completely different.
I mean,
Okay,
it sounds like they're on like a health game at the federal level.
It could be, and to your point, Danny, I think like a lot of these non-foods that are put into American foods everywhere, probably messing the gut up, Serene.
Yeah. Oh, I believe so.
Tearing apart the lining,
Yeah, like they're literal
destroying the
chemicals.
good bugs.
We have actual chemicals in boxed foods in our country. It's allowed.
Yeah, they're not
there's-
allowed in
there's
other countries.
generational. It's not just bad choices of each individual person. It's generational
Yeah.
habits.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, I don't know how many generations we're in now
Yeah.
for devitalized junk food.
Hey, I'll tell you something
that's-
else. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I
No,
interrupt you?
no, you.
Had a college age girl visiting my mother from Nepal. And so it's for us just a feast of questions
Yeah.
on culture, and because she's from like this ancient
Uh-huh.
Buddhist world, right? And she's a Christian. And I was asking her just about what's like the biggest standout culture shock difference. She was like, "Oh, easy. The children and teenagers here are so dishonoring. We would see little jokes you guys make with your parents and things as the absolute disrespect."
Really?
And I just thought like, wow, like the things that, I don't feel disrespect. I let my kids
Yeah.
tease a little, even a little sass, a little opinion, fine. You got your own brain, your own
Yeah.
feelings. They're ridiculous, but I'm going to act like they're real.
Yeah.
I think that's wise. But I think little things like that, some cultures see as extremely disrespectful, and like you wouldn't speak to an adult that way, or you wouldn't speak to a woman.
Yeah.
Some cultures you don't look at a woman.
Right.
I was in Romania, and I'm walking down the street and I'm like, hey, and these women are like,
Yeah.
their head goes down, they beeline. They had to school me and like, hey man, like there's only one reason to make eye contact with a woman. Like you need to be married to her. And
I know that's why I love travel. Culture is so different. Like
different.
in Japan, and I got to get to my next truth bomb, but I mean, you don't tip there. Honor is in everything. The person doing the toilet cleaning is still filled with honor at their job.
Yeah.
The people taking all the little preschoolers to the park, you just see their honor. It's really remarkable. I was kind of blown away by Japanese culture, the safety. There are some things that go on there that's dark. There's a lot of suicide. There's not a lot of forgiveness. There's a lot of shame.
along with that high honor standard. Yeah.
But it's safe. 5-year-olds were walking around by themselves, no parents. They were
You
catching
said you
trains.
saw like a 3-year-old. You're like, where is the parent?
This little preschooler had a backpack on and was on his way to preschool. We presume Charlie and I were like searching, where are his parents?
Yeah.
No parent. He just knows his way, and everyone in society is helping look after him. They don't have rape going on there. I mean, there's a lot of pornography apparently, but rape is not happening. I said, well, Meadow, how do you go to groceries? She has to walk to the store there. And I said, but yeah, you got the kids. She's like, oh, well, Kendall comes home from work. I can walk, And I'm like, but it's dark, Meadow. And it took me days to understand. Doesn't matter if it's dark. She can walk at midnight. She'll be fine.
That's interesting.
It's
There
incredible.
seems to be so again with this Nepal girl, the honor thing was really important to her,
Yeah.
and I would even try to like see where the line was. I was kind of throwing jokes out, and I found it really quick. I was already on the edge of her
Yeah.
line with some of her responses, and I just wonder if that ancient honor, even if it's Buddhist or whatever, like they seem to honor the body. If rape instances are lower,
right.
if obesity is lower, if foods from the earth are higher, that's all speaks
Very
of honor
interesting,
to me.
And you
Danny.
said that to me
Very
the other day.
interesting,
You're
yes.
hitting it right, Dan, because you actually told me
did.
when we came back and we had an evening with you on your first
Yeah.
night back, and you were saying they're so healthy because they are honoring their body.
I know, and I didn't know if I wanted to bring this to the party, but I will, okay? Because at every bath, another thing I loved about the Japan's their toilets. Oh my goodness, best toilets in the world. You sit there, even if you're on a train station, all public toilets are epic. They're fully like, you're private. There's no cracks under the door where you can hear someone else tinkling.
Why the crack?
As soon as you sit down, the seat is warmed for you.
Oh.
Music starts playing.
Lift your hands to heaven.
You can wash your tushy.
Got a bidet? Got a nice warm bidet?
Yes,
At every public restroom.
Every public restroom. And then you go out and the restrooms are just so beautiful. There's all these little seats for women and it's your little primping area. And so everyone is taken up and women care. It didn't seem to be a big vanity thing. Everyone looks natural. Everyone is groomed and honoring their body, but they're taking care. And I really appreciated that because they're honoring the body they're living in. I don't think they were consumed. I just think they took care. And then I came here and we went through the Seattle airport and I'm like, well, it's just not the same. And of course you can get to obsession where you're like really super worried about your looks and how do people see you. But I think there's a middle ground where you're just like, hey, I'm living in this earthsuit. Let me honor it. Let me present it in a healthy way to others. Anyway, that's just my opinion.
Wow.
Next truth bomb. There's a time for cheat meals. Okay, but I'm going to have a caveat. And maybe that time's not for you.
You had tiramisu in Japan and now you're going to justify
I actually did, but
Yeah.
no, it's not about me. I wanted to say, I was actually talking to Coach Amy, one of our amazing coaches who's actually heading up our new coaching program for us. And it's going to be so exciting. That's on the horizon. We were just talking about coaching. She's just saying how much she loves it so much. And we were talking about the ins and outs. And she's like, yeah, I told a client of mine, maybe it's time to drop that one weekly cheat meal. And I'm like, oh yeah, because, I'm like, well, Amy, I said, you know me, you've heard me. I have off-plan meals. Sometimes they're just a part of my food freedom. And she's like, yeah, Pearl, and I've heard you describe them and they're way different. Like you might have, like you said, a piece of tiramisu. You might have something that somebody made for you with love, like Stephanie brought over to welcome us back some banana bread this morning.
Your neighbor.
Yeah. And I had a piece. But she's like, that's doable and Pearl, your blood sugar can handle it. But she's like, when a cheat meal is a double burger, cheeseburger with fries plus a Frosty at the end of it,
Ooh.
they're kind of undoing everything they did during the week.
Yeah, I think
And I told her, I said, if you could just drop that, you're going to see results. And she's like, and what do you know? She did. And now she's seeing results. And I thought to myself, yeah, Pearl, okay, there's a place for cheat meal. I'm not saying you can never have burger and fries. I've had them. But if they're once a week and you have some insulin resistance and you kind of like got some stubborn weight, they're not serving you.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of cheat meal is not serving you. Now, going off plan sometimes, I feel like it depends who you are. Like if you're going on vacation, you want to sample that ethnic food or you want to try something. I think that's vitamin P for pleasure and it's healthy.
Yeah.
And for me, I think vitamin pleasure is just so good for me and I can get back on plan, but I'm not everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we're eating fast food once a week, though, it's like, okay, don't call yourself a turtle. Don't say that, I can't say that like I'm having this, because the only issue I have with weight is like I get a little tired. Well, look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, but you like that though. You like a bit of fat. You
Yeah,
said.
I built that. I worked.
Yeah, but you know what? If you stand
Everyone has
up,
a
that
little
goes
tummy.
away.
It goes away
probably.
immediately.
Everybody's
Because
got that.
you have to
Yeah,
be able
yeah.
to sit
I'm
down.
couch.
It's called compression.
When you sit,
Yeah,
a
but-
stomach folds, Danny.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like, I don't know. I just feel like it's so easy to be self-deceptive, and it's one thing to like say this is my cheat meal, but like at the same time, don't say I have this special condition where I struggle to lose weight. It's like, no, you're eating French fries.
Yeah.
You know, it's just physics. There's no special condition. You don't have a family history of, we've said it a lot. You may have a family history of bad decision making, but there may not be a family history of this special weight condition.
Well, let's talk about a meal like this. If it is your cheat meal, what's it doing to you? I mean, double cheeseburger. Okay, we're not even calorie counters. But at some point, there's calorie abuse that your body just can't deal with, right? So then you've got the fries, and if it's your cheat meal, and if that was something that you grew up with, it's probably the large fry and then the Frosties. So you've probably got 200 carbs in one meal. You've probably got close to 1,500 to 2,000 calories in one meal. Some people can't even burn that in a whole day. And you've probably got 1 million fat grams. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but those fat grams are not healthy burnable fats.
No, the confangled fats.
The
that your body just
confangled
doesn't know how to
fats.
process.
Confangled. I believe we just made up a word.
Your burger is
Confangled?
probably not grass-fed. I'm not saying you only have to eat grass-fed meat, but it's
more inflammatory because it's
Yes.
omega-6s instead of omega-3. Yeah.
so it's not even vitamin P pleasure for your body. It's a burden for your body.
Yeah.
And if it is once weekly, I would just say, give yourself a break from that. I'm with Coach Amy.
Yeah.
Hey, it's in
totally
the Urban
agree.
Dictionary only, but sometimes Urban Dictionary will, whatever you type in, they'll make up a whole page for it on the spot. And then,
Yeah.
anyways, it says something so awe-inspiringly stupid,
Confangled.
idiotic, shameful that one cannot even attempt to utter a word. I love that.
It's a good bad cop word, Suri.
Oh, but it's so true. Like if you were going to go to Italy and eat some of their beautiful pastries at a bakery, and their grain, of course,
Different.
is not glyphosate full, and it's just
Not fortified.
it's not fortified. It doesn't have all of the preservatives and the chemicals in those baked goods. It's like, vitamin P. Go and enjoy. There is something to treats that are classy treats,
Yeah.
or treats that are just more simple in nature and not poisonous in nature.
It's so
And then there's
true.
treats that are not too abusive in nature.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I'll never have a Dunkin' Donut. I will, as I've said, occasionally have one, but I won't have 3
Right.
because there's only so much your body can take, and after that, it's abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, too, some people can't even go off plan, and even a little bit of sugar is so triggering for them, and that's, sugar addictions and eating addictions and things like that, which I haven't suffered with. So I don't want to put my ideas on everyone listening, because some of them, I think of Coach KJ and all the women that follow her, they're coming out of eating addiction.
Yeah.
And they can't do sugar, and they don't need to.
Right.
Next truth bomb is be a well-nourished woman. Now, all of these have stories. So before I left to Japan, I took my daughter Autumn, and we went to Plato's Closet. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's like secondhand. It's like go get your thrift store.
Yeah. But it's kind of a trendy thrift store.
Yeah, I'm wearing a Play-Doh's shirt.
Are you?
Oh, Play-Doh's is the bomb.
Well, I beg to differ, because every
You don't
time.
like it.
Have you seen my daughter Autumn?
Yeah.
She's very, would you say,
Willowy.
Trim, willowy,
Yeah.
very, very. I mean, she works out, but she's got a lot of lean body mass, but she doesn't look bulky. But every time we
Oh, she's
go there,
teeny.
we both come back, and I know this is not anorexia, but we sit in the car and we're like, are we fat?
Oh,
We
it's all
ask
little
each
skimpy
other.
stuff?
Are we fat? Nothing fits me. And nothing
Yeah, but it's
fits
for
her.
5'2", 0.
Now some stores cater to
size
that.
0.
So like H&M is one of the few stores that have like an extra small for men.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I think a lot of teenagers shop there, so a lot of the clothes that get taken there from teenagers that never had babies.
Yeah.
Right.
But Autumn's never had a baby, but she's tall. She's
Yeah,
6
she's
foot.
6'1".
And
there's a girl's store, and if you have any thigh whatsoever, you simply will not shop there. It's called Brandy Melville, I think.
I've never been there. Just thank you for the warning, though.
It's literally, I hope it's Brandy Melville now at this point, because they probably, who knows, Brandy Melville may be different. But I think it's Brandy Melville, and it's literal clothes for almost like the
sticks.
Have you seen the stick type of teenage girl?
Yeah.
Like that 13-year-old, just skinny.
I have, yeah.
It's only for them. Like they don't even sell the size or the shape for bigger girls.
And it's kind of scary, and and then there's a whole here in the US embrace whatever you are thing, but there's extremes, because you got that, and then you got embrace whatever you are, and then I believe I'm a trim, healthy weight woman. Maybe I'm even on the too small side sometimes. My husband tells me, he's like, hey, you can put on some pounds if you want, but I feel fat when I go there.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I came out and we just did self-talk to one another, and I said, you know what, Autumn, we are well-nourished women. I said, I don't want to be a stick. I mean, I'm just like washing myself off that mirror and those clothes that wouldn't go up my thighs and were tight around my stomach. I'm like washing myself because, no, I want to be healthy. I don't want to be skinny. I want to be well-nourished. Part of my brain was saying, well, Pearl, you better eat less. Straight away, it's just like, I don't know what it was. It's like, you better go down 5 or 10 pounds so you can fit into a size true 4. It's ridiculous. And then I thought, oh, so you want to go into a low energy available state?
Right.
You want to shred that good, healthy fat off your body?
Yeah.
You want to be unnourished? No, I don't want any
You
of
have
that.
to shred some of that muscle off too.
Yes.
Yeah. That brain protecting life and lengthening muscle.
Yeah. And so, Autumn and I were like to each other, you know what? We're proud of being well-nourished women. And that's kind of my identity I want to have. Mm-hmm. We're all different shapes and sizes. I'm an ectomorph. I'm kind of small, but I have thighs. And that's okay. I want to be well-nourished, whatever that looks like, whatever it is on the scale. I don't care. Well-nourished means healthy to me. Thoughts, Sereni?
No, I think I gave that up, you see, about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think I was always thinking, okay, light is healthy. When we went through that transition where we realized as we were losing our hormones and getting closer to menopause, like this light is healthy, CRAP, is not going to work well for our metabolisms. As we head into the future. We're going to get osteoporosis. We're going to get wizened up, become frail old woman. So I kind of flipped a switch in my brain. I'm an extremist. So whenever I flip a switch, it's flipped.
Yeah.
And so my switch is now flipped into highly nourished mode. And because I'm a burner and because I'm at goal weight and I train hard, before I came here, I'm like, I don't want to be shredded. I just worked out in the gym. So I had like half a quart of whole raw milk. I put Manuka honey in it. I put a banana in it. I put whey protein. So I do feed myself to be extra nourished.
But so do you ever go to Plato's and put on the things that won't go up your thighs?
Yes, and I'm all over that now.
It doesn't even bother you past that.
My brain is it's whatever the switch is flipped on.
Okay, so that wouldn't even bother you at this point.
No,
well, I'm
because
going
the
to
switch
get
is
there.
flipped.
Yeah, okay.
I don't love embrace who you are, because I have acted so many roles in my real life. I have been the tough guy. I have been the gangster. I have been I've been it all. I've been the award-winning dad from the sitcom, which is one of my current roles. I act out when I don't feel like it whatsoever.
What if you could, right?
Yeah, and I think we need to embrace rather the best version of ourselves, because I can be a 0 and I can be a 10.
So good.
Not compared to Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? But for my abilities, I can operate at a 0 and I can operate at a 10, and I think we should embrace our higher energy states. Because you can choose.
Good.
I mean, you're choosing it every week, and I don't know. I just hate to. In fact, I just looked up a couple quotes on this very thing, if I may.
You may.
All right.
Because I like what you're bringing.
Okay, so Socrates said this. He said, No man, and we can say person, has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It's a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable.
Ooh, I like that.
Seneca, it is part of the cure to wish to be cured. So part of getting healthy is the desire to do it, not just like I'm challenged to do so on a podcast, or I don't want to die young, or I want to be there for my kids. I mean, those are good motives, but you got to have your own wish. It's from within. And then modern Jim Rohn, to take care of your body, it's the only place you have to live. And I think that's really powerful as it's spring and we're getting our houses ready and we're buying mulch, you know, because guests are coming and we want everything to look right.
And you're planting.
Yeah, it's like
we're throwing down wildflowers. We're making things good.
Yeah, and you want your brand to be on point, right, of your home and what you're expressing in the earth. And I think it should be the same of our bodies. I've always loved that. In fact, you two kind of got me out of that whole like being sensitive about talking about the body, like never speak of it, like let everybody just be who they are. And it's like, that's not really love though. I can't really love my family and friends and just pretend like, you know, they're definitely going to be living in a hospital soon.
Yeah.
I can't pretend that. And so it's not judgmental. I do happen to be born with genetics that keep me pretty skinny.
Yeah.
I have to fight to gain weight. And even still, I think it's love that we say, hey, let's see ourselves in our most optimum potential.
Right, because optimum for some woman is size 12, 14.
Yeah.
For some, it is size 2 if they're little, if they're short. I don't know if it's a 0 for anyone, honestly. But but it's so different for us all. But to be well-nourished, to be our best brand is so important. And Danny, you kind of touched on something. You said, you know, you could be a 0, you could be a 10. It's what you represent, right? Or what you wish for. And Serena and I talk a lot. We listen to Laura Doyle on the Empowered Wife podcast. But she really brings us in another way. Like in our relationships, we can be anything. We're many different people.
Yeah.
I'm many different women in one pearl. But she's like, hey, you can be the goddess of fun and light in your home. You can be the one that is pleasable. Or you can be the one that is sad and mad and walking around constantly disgruntled and constantly bitter or angry. Which one are you? I mean, it's not only helping the ones around you, it's helping you. Which one you want to be? I'm like, goddess of fun and light, please.
Yes.
I mean, that's what I try to do at my house, you know, and I don't know that I always succeed, but I definitely am always trying to make a conscious choice to be like the king of great fun and joy and an example of emotional regulation. You know, I'm raising teen. I'm in the thick of teens right now.
Yeah.
And teens are not regulated emotionally. And what they try to do is drag me into their their state of dysregulation. And I find myself almost going there because I'm thinking, oh, if I dysregulate. In fact, I lamented to my wife the other day. I was like, what happened to the good old days when a dad could like rant and rave and thunder through the house and everybody quaked and went, okay, time to behave. Well, that's not my experience with these little Italian mad cakes running around the Valdez casa. You know, if I get dysregulated, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to one-up him. And I'm like, where's my authority? But anyways, I've tried to, in my latter years, model being an authority, being a leader and a guide, but one that is quite emotionally regulated.
Dan, they're going to look back on this even though they're not regulated themselves now, and they're going to so appreciate that you did that.
Yeah.
They are, and it's going to pay off, and it's going to come back to you.
Like a new thing for me, like back in the day, somebody like a kid raises their voice, right? Or does something that is against the code that I, just establish, honor. And some of it is real honor. And it should be insisted upon. So I'm not saying that we throw it out, but there are other things that seem to be as if God has designed this child to disrupt my ego and to make me grow as a person. And if I'm busy and flying through life too fast, I go back to the easy tool, which is like quick judgment. type of stuff with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And if I slow down, like one thing that's just floored me that I've had to accept is his kindness leads us to repentance.
Yeah, I love that verse.
And so when my
good,
kids are like
Mhm.
dysregulating and going off,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm like, me being a soft, gentle parent can't be the right answer for this. I need to fight their force with a harder force. And it's literally wrong. It's the exact opposite of what I need to do. And I've found,
Sometimes there can be a gentle, firm line.
that can be both for
yeah.
sure.
But I agree
tended-
with the ranting and the cray-cray. It
Well,
doesn't help.
I have tended to be that authoritarian in the past, where it's like jerking the belt off, you know what I mean, or whatever, you know. And you know, I have just a new trick I've had. I should put it that way: a new tool in the toolbox, not to replace all tools, right? But a new trick I've been practicing is when I feel that disrespect come and I start to feel cortisol spiking, is to actually look at my child and go, and then like walk away. And it has done, like,
Wow.
it almost shocks him into like I don't even know what he's gonna do. like I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
It's almost like the samurai way is to like,
Mm-hmm.
you have dishonored your father. I go tend to garden. You know,
Yeah.
and like they see like dad could have
Yeah.
taken my phone and grounded me and shut down my life, and he like swallowed disrespect and he went about his day. And I'm not saying that's the move every time,
Right.
but I'm saying add it to the toolbox.
Yeah.
Because
Totally.
what it's done is
Definitely.
it's garnered respect from them,
Right.
and they went, wow, I just disrespected him and he responded with kindness.
Wow.
That can be a powerful tool.
For sure.
Mhm,
Yeah.
for sure.
Hey, that's all the truth
A
bombs
lot
I
of
have
truth
today. You
bombs.
have anything to
No,
add?
I think that we're 51 minutes in. I think there's a lot of awesome truth to be munched over and ruminated upon.
Gonna munch.
See ya.
So yeah.